How many hours should you study per week? From my experience, there is no general exact number. You hear all these people saying that you should study 3-4 hours per day, 25-30 hours per week, or even just do the minimal that you can. And I'll tell you this, it's complete rubbish. Let's say, for example, you have an exam coming up in 1 week's time. How are you going to go about studying towards that exam? You're going to do everything you can. You're going to be totally zoned in, focused, and removing your distractions. There is an urgency about you to make sure that you get everything done because an exam is coming up. Have you not noticed that when you do that and when you go through those stages, you're a lot more productive, you're a lot more zoned in, a lot more focused, and you realize that what you thought was going to take you a lot longer is actually a lot shorter because your work that you're doing, the quality of work that you're doing and putting in is of a higher standard. It's not about the number of hours that you do that's important, it's what you do in those hours that counts. And in this video, I'm going to go through 4 steps that you can do that's going to help you determine how many hours you should be studying per week. The first step that you want to do before doing anything else is to stop comparing yourself to other people. This is very, very important. When you're trying to figure out how many hours you want to study per week, the worst thing that you can do is look at someone else who's saying, oh, I'm doing 4 to 5 hours of work every day, or I'm only doing 1 hour every day, and you're using that as your basis to do it for yourself. It's not going to work, and I'll tell you why it's not going to work. The way their mind works and the way your mind works is very different. You might need more time or less time to understand the information that you're learning. You might need more time or less time to do the questions and doing exam questions. How do you know that your mind works exactly the same as the other person? And also, you have to take these things with a pinch of salt. You don't know if that person is actually doing 4 to 5 hours of work every day. You don't know if that person is doing just 1 hour no work every day. How do you know? It's just their words. There's no proof. You need to be focused on yourself. What is going to work for you based on how you work, based on how you understand things, based on, the level of time that is required for you to understand what you are doing. And that leads to the second step, which is figuring out your attention span. How long can you go and study before you completely lose concentration? And I'm not talking about, when you're studying for 10-15 minutes and that's it, you can't concentrate anymore. I'm not talking about that. If you're not able to stay focused for more than 10-15 minutes, unless you have a medical condition, you really need to ask some serious questions about yourself, because there is no way you're going to be able to improve and grow in life if you can't stay focused for a prolonged period of time. There's just no way, full stop. Let's just say your attention span is 1 hour, which means that you can only stay focused for 1 hour before you lose concentration. That's fine, no problem. What you're going to do for the first week is you're going to study for 1 hour. You're going to put 1 hour every single day. And then the following week, you're going to increase your attention span. And the way to look at attention is basically it's like a muscle. When you train a muscle, what happens? Your muscle grows. And it's the same thing with attention. When you put focus on increasing that attention grows as well. But again, it goes back to you. It's your choice. How much do you want this? If you want this, you're going to find that way to be able to increase the attention span. And this is the way. The following week, you then increase that 1 hour to 1.5 hours. You're adding 30 minutes extra to your study, your work period of time. And you might think, hold up, but 1.5 hours, that's long, I can't do it. You're wrong. Your brain, your mind has been accustomed to be working for 1 hour. It's being accustomed to staying focused for 1 hour. And now what you're doing is just slightly dialing this up a bit by 30 minutes for you to increase your attention span. And you're going to be doing that for the next 7 days or even the next 2 weeks. You're doing that 1.5 hours every single day for the next 2 weeks. And then the following week, you now increase that 1.5 hours by adding another 15 minutes or another 30 minutes. Now that 1 hour has become 2 hours. And this is how you increase your attention span. I hope you understand that. I hope you understand how important this is, because you're not looking at what anyone else is doing. You're using your foundations. My foundation attention span is 1 hour. I need to increase that. And the way to increase this is gradually building up the momentum. This is the method that I use that allowed me to stay focused for like 3-4 hours in one go without even having to move. The only time I had to move was when I had to go to the toilet. But I started slowly, built it up gradually to the point that my mind had more capacity for my attention span to increase. The third step is you need to have an idea of how much content you still have to cover. Let's say, for example, I don't know, I'll just use maths as an example. You're doing a module at university that's a maths module or A-level maths or GCSE maths. And let's say, for example, that maths has 15 chapters and you've done 5 chapters, which means that you have 10 chapters left to do. And your exams is in May, June, which means you have about 4 months. Okay, if I have 4 months left and I have about 10 chapters left to do, there is a bit of work that still is required for me to do. There is work that I need to put in. There is hours that I need to put in. And there's no two ways about it. This is just me being real here, right? You can try and say, okay, I'm going to do everything a bit more when it comes nearer the time, but you are shooting yourself in the face, or in the foot, should I say, when you say you're going to do that. There's no way you're going to do that, because the pressure is too much, the anxiety is going to increase, the stress is going to increase, and then you're going to start comparing yourself with other people, which means you're not even going to be able to cover the content that you said you were going to cover. By you knowing how much content you still have left to do and also increasing your attention span, which means that you are able to put more hours, but also stay focused in those hours. You're hitting two birds with one stone. Now you know, okay, I've got all this content to cover, but at the same time, my capacity has increased, which means I could put more hours. Can you see how that works? It works hand in hand. You're not even looking at what anyone else is doing. This is just purely you. And it's amazing because it's your journey. It's your journey, and you just figured out what you need to do, and you're also working on your attention span and increasing that. It's a win-win. So make sure you know how much content you still have left to go through so you can incorporate that in the hours that you put in per week. And the fourth step is to be fluid. Don't fall in the trap of saying that, okay, I'm only going to work a certain number of hours each week and that's it. There's going to be times or weeks that you might have to do more work because there's more content that you have to go through, or there's more difficult content that is going to take a bit more time for you to understand and do questions on. There might be other weeks where you might not need to put as many hours because you've conquered that topic and you understand it. So by you being fluid and flexible, you are adapting to the circumstances that's coming at you. Some weeks you might require more hours, other weeks you reduce that. That's just the way life works. You're not going to be able to put a consistent amount of effort every single week. Sometimes life just takes over and you might not be able to do it. You might not be in the mental state to do it. It happens to all of us. But when you are fluid, you are taking all those things into consideration and reminding yourself that, okay, this time I'm not going to be able to do it, but the following week I'm going to rack it up. And when you're able to do that, not only will you become more productive and efficient, but you'll be able to handle those unseen circumstances that's going to come at you from all angles because you are fluid, you're flexible, and you know exactly how you're going to adapt to those changes. Now, if you're the type of person that gets distracted all the time and you want to know how to remove distractions, I have a video for you here that you can check it out. And remember this, everything starts from zero. When are you going to start? Peace.